Welcome to Egg
and Bean
Podcast. I'm Sunny.
And I'm Nathan.
And welcome to our podcast where we discuss the growing pains in life.
Then we put a Band-Aid on it and transport.
That's our motto. So it's come to our attention that many people did not know that Nate is Mexican.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
That's not bad.
It's your inner Mexican coming out. Oh my God. Is that how you flirt with the girls?
No.
With the ladies?
No.
So we thought that we would talk and introduce our cultures a little bit, given that everyone thought that Nate was Filipino.
You know, I've gotten all kinds of Asians.
Yeah.
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 Every single time.
Korean. Don't you get Korean the most?
Korean.
Yeah.
I've gotten Chinese before.
Yeah. What did you think I was before I told you?
Chinese.
Chinese.
I thought you were.
I think a lot of people, I've gotten a lot. When I was younger, people thought I was Japanese. When I got a little older, Korean. I get Chinese, obviously. But I'm Taiwanese. And that's usually not something that people guess. Mm-hmm. I guess Chinese is the closest one to that.
I guess.
But that's a little too political for this podcast
That's
episode.
not what we're about here.
So, Nate, what are some foods from your culture that you love? Because we got to start off with food.
As you can tell, I love food. Food's really good. But I think my favorite dish, it's called pozole.
Okay, what is that?
So pozole, it's like a soup, basically. It could be red, green, or white.
Okay.
But it has this is like chicken broth or beef broth.
Okay.
It has the chicken or beef in there.
Uh-huh.
Many different spices that I can't name right now.
Uh-huh.
And it has like the big corn called hominy.
I love that so much.
Yeah, it's so I've brought it to you
Yeah,
before.
I know. Nate brought pozole. Am I saying that correctly? Okay.
Close enough.
Pozole to work once, and he was driving and I was just sitting next to him, passenger princess, just gobbling it up.
She didn't say anything for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, he looks over and I'm just like.
What about you, Sunny? What is one of like your favorite dishes?
Mine is beef noodle soup, and I actually made that for you recently.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't make it.
Is it the one from the TikTok that we posted?
Yeah. So my mom, God bless her soul, knows I rarely cook for myself. So when I do go home, she makes beef noodle soup. Well, just the soup portion, right? And she puts it in freezer bags for me, and I will bring it back and freeze them, and I can just defrost them whenever, and I just have to cook the noodles, add vegetables I want to, and it's honestly as much effort as instant ramen, but it's not, and it's just ridiculously good. Honestly, I'll make a TikTok video one day showing you how I make this amazing beef noodle soup that my mom.
It was really good. The meat was so tender. So tender.
Yeah, because you braise it.
What is that?
You just cook it for a long time, I guess, at low heats. I don't know.
Is that what the
Braised,
term is?
yeah. Just like slow.
I thought it was
low
just slow
temp
cook.
cooking. Slow cook. I'm sure it's the same thing. Come on, Nate, you should have known this.
Sorry.
You're the chef here.
I am.
I think it's really close to my heart because it's my comfort food. And when I was at school in Pennsylvania for undergrad, I really missed it a lot. And I don't know how to make it. You know, I'm not like that. God, take off the jacket.
It's so hot. in
Nate's
here.
taking off his jacket because
We got so many lights on us and it's projecting heat.
I'm sorry,
It's
Nate.
okay.
And yeah, so I missed beef noodle soup a lot. I really like Ding Tai Fung. Yeah.
I've never had it until the first time you took me. That was really good.
Yeah, it was insane. What was your favorite dish from Ding Tai Fung?
The soup dumplings?
The soup, the xiaolong baos.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so
For
good.
sure, we call them the XLBs because it's the acronym. But
XLB.
yeah, because xiao starts with X and then long is L and then B is bao. So xiao is small, long means basket, and bao means bun. So it's literally translates to little basket bun, which I think is such a cute name.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't it cute? It's a
Yeah.
little basket bun because they're steamed in baskets.
Oh yeah. The little wooden ones.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that we're talking about culture today because I grew up going to Ding Tai Fung in Taiwan, and it was, I don't remember what age or how old I was when they opened one in Orange County, but they opened one when I got older and my mind was blown. But what I noticed though is obviously in Taiwan, they have that glass window where you can see all the chefs making the little xiaolongbaos.
Oh, really? That's so cool.
And in Taiwan, it's obviously a bunch of Asians, right? Taiwanese people making them. But here, it's all a bunch of Mexicans who are making the xiaolongbaos. And I think it's so funny because I'm like, Nate, let's go eat Asian food, right?
And you're in the kitchen.
Cue some Spanish music. Cue Bad Bunny.
No. Right now it's doble P, peso pluma.
I don't know what that is.
Bad Bunny's canceled.
Why? Because he's dating Kendall Jenner? Why do people hate that? Okay.
I'm just a sheep. I follow.
He goes, I don't know why people hate him.
I just hate.
But I just hate.
No. We're better than that here.
That's true. We don't do that. That's all jokes, guys. Friendly fire. What was I saying? Oh, Ding Tai Fung, of course. Your favorite was the xiaolongbaos. I really like obviously the beef noodle soup, but I think my mom's is better. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way about foods that their parents
100%.
or mom cooks.
Homemade food is the best.
Yeah. But I really like the green beans there.
Green beans?
Yeah, the green beans are phenomenal. It's like crack to me.
Oh, I remember eating those.
Yeah, the
those
string
are pretty
green
good.
beans, the garlic string
those
green
are really
beans.
good.
I really like the chocolate dessert xiaolongbaos. So it's the xiaolongbaos but it has chocolate in it.
Those
it's
are good,
so good.
but it was too much chocolate.
No,
Too much
give me all the chocolate, all chocolate every day. Rain it on me.
Normally, chocolate's like the only candy I like.
Yeah,
but that was too much.
No, I want like a waterfall of chocolate just flowing.
Gross.
No, whatever.
You're like that fat kid from Charlie the Chocolate Factory.
I'm like the fat kid in Charlie the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
That's okay. Fine, I'll take that. I accept. I also really like the spicy wontons from Ding Tai Fung. Of course, there's boba, and I feel like I tell everybody this when they ask me about Taiwanese culture, but did you know that boba came from Taiwan?
Really?
Yeah.
I always associate it with like a Filipino thing.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's a Taiwanese thing, and in Taiwan, boba is so extremely cheap. I swear it's maybe $1, but here it's reaching $6, I think now.
Yeah, I spent $6 on a boba drink the other day, and this car cut me off, and I lost my boba drink. And it was Taro, so my truck is all purple now. It looks like Barney.
It's like Barney threw up in your truck.
Yeah.
Is that your favorite flavor, Taro?
Taro is my favorite.
Mine is a good brown sugar milk tea, a classic, or matcha. I'm a big matcha girl. Love my matcha.
Have you ever tried artisanal rice milk?
That sounds familiar.
It's horchata.
That sounds really familiar. I totally know what that is. Me in an interview, when they ask me if I know something, I go, yeah, I think I've heard of that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like bullshitting out of my...
Wow. Put that explicit button, please.
Bleep that out. I'm so sorry,
There's
Mom.
kids here.
Mom, I'm sorry.
I'm here.
You're here. And you're older than me, sir.
You can't cuss. But something that I really, really like that's Mexican food is chicharrones.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
I've had the one at King Tacos.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But I think we're talking about different chicharrones.
Okay.
Are you talking about like kind of like shredded beef.
Yeah, it's like shredded in a taco.
So this one, it's like pork skin with a little bit of like meat on it, and they fry it. So then it becomes really crunchy and crispy,
oh my
and the meat's really juicy. It's so bad for you because they fry it in lard.
This is a bad topic because I'm just hungry now. We gotta cut the show, guys. I gotta go eat. I'm kidding. Keep going.
And then there's this trend on the internet that I want to try.
Right.
It's you grab that piece of chicharrón and you put it in guacamole, and you bite it.
Can you make that for me?
Yeah, we'll make
really?
that. Oh, I don't know. Actually, it's really hard to make. We've made it a couple times, but it takes
I believe in you.
hours.
You can do it. I believe in you. I swear I'm not only believing you because I want to try it.
We can go to Northgate right now, Mexican market, and buy it.
Okay, well, we should make it sometime.
Yeah. You know how last time you took me to like an Asian store?
Yeah.
Let me take you to a Mexican store.
We'll take you guys along with us. Don't worry. We won't leave you guys out.
Yeah.
We'll take you along for the ride. So speaking of culture, what are parts of your culture that are important to you?
So something that I really, really love about Mexican culture is how hospitable everyone is and how generous everyone is. If you go to someone's house, even if it's the first time you've met them, they're going to feed you until you throw up. And then after you throw up, they're going to say, here's a to-go container with some more food.
I think that's really similar to Asian culture. You know, their form of love is, did you eat? And just shoving food down your throat. And once you finish your plate, because you know they'll kill you if you don't finish your plate, they take that as, you want more.
Wow, you really liked it. You really must want more.
And so they'll put more. And then you have to eat that plate because you don't want to disappoint your grandmother who, you know, put in blood, sweat, and tears to bring you here to America. So you really don't want to disappoint her. So you eat that plate too. And now you're ready to literally pass out.
I think we struck a nerve with Sunny.
Be in a food coma for 10 years.
Do you want to talk about it?
I do. It was a hard time in my life.
Well, that's why I'm also chubby.
I think it contributed to my eating disorder, definitely, because I just got to a level where I was so uncomfortable with how much food I had eaten, and it just was not sitting right. So, but yeah, we'll get into that later. Not to bring the mood down, but yeah, I really relate to that with, you know, being Taiwanese. We definitely do that too. Use food as a form of love. I think I've told you before that my mom would cut fruit and bring that to me, you know.
Same.
Yeah.
Pilo, tajín, limón, and all preparado. It's good.
Oh, I love tajin.
It's good.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but we really love food. We're just over here like, oh, wow.
I don't think I have to let them know that I like it.
Put thought bubbles over our heads with just food. Taking a second in dreamland.
You know what's funny though with the Mexican culture or Latinos, I think in general? The hotter it is outside,
the spicier the food?
No, the more they want to make soup.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but every summer, the hottest day of the year, my mom's like, I made soup. Te hice caldo de pollo. I made chicken soup. I'm like, damn.
You're sweating. You're like, you're just, it looks like you just took a shower.
Yeah, it's so gross. But they say if you eat hot food in the summer, you're going to feel cold after. But
to release it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't believe it.
Yeah, it is what it is. It don't gotta make sense. It's tradition. I feel like most traditions don't make sense. For me, I think that in terms of my culture, I love that we put an emphasis on health.
Ooh.
I think that in Asian culture specifically, it's very embedded in our traditions, our holidays. It's actually very common in my family and other people in my culture, I guess, to gift health foods. So around holidays, for Christmas, for New Year's, whatever, Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, they will give ginger tea as a gift.
Oh, wow.
Some Chinese medicine, herbs, whatever. Even fruit baskets.
I've heard of that. That there's like special expensive fruit that the whole plant was dedicated just for that one fruit.
Yes. And they're expensive.
I bet.
Yeah. And they're not cut or anything. Because, here we have edible arrangements or something. It's cut. No, it's literally a watermelon or whatever, just bunch of uncut fruit in a basket. And they wrap it very pretty and everything. And they'll gift it. And I really like that. Obviously, I'm in public health and I'm trying to work on my health, right? So it's important to me. And I really think that's largely due to the way I grew up. There was a huge emphasis on the quality of food that I ate. And on New Year's or any holiday, we would wish our loved ones a year of good health. That's so nice. On Lunar New Year, when we receive our red envelopes that are full of money, you receive it, and oftentimes you will say, Happy Lunar New Year. Thank you. Wish your family a year of good luck, good wealth, and good health.
That's so nice.
Yeah, and it's very embedded. We are constantly cooking healthy foods for people. It's our biggest form of love. It's common to go, hey, I got this for you because I think I heard from my uncle that this is really good, and I remember that you had problems with your digestive tract, and I heard it really worked for him, so here's a Chinese herbal tea, or here's this that I found that's really good for you.
Yeah.
And I think that I really appreciate. I think that's almost, to me, the ultimate form of love.
Yes.
Is for someone to care about my health or take the time to find things that could benefit my health. So
I remember one of the gifts that I cherished the most. It was simple, but it was a cream that helped with my eczema.
Right.
And I thought that was the coolest gift I've ever gotten, because they actually took the time and thought about me, and they were like, let's fix this guy.
You're like, I don't know whether to take that as a compliment.
No, I liked it. It was good. And I love skin stuff.
Yeah. Skincare is an ultimate gift these days. I mean, people are really on their skincare. On the topic of really caring about our health, I think the trend of skincare really originated, or it was largely influenced by Korean skincare, and a lot of Asians have put a lot of importance on skincare. So there's this hype on Korean skincare products because there's a difference in kind of the Asian Eastern philosophy and the Western philosophy. So here in America, I think it's common to approach skincare from the perspective of, oh, you're having a overproduction of oil, right? And let's dry you out. So a lot of the products are very drying.
Yeah.
But, Asians view skincare from the perspective of, oh, you're having acne, you're having problems with your skin. Let's heal that skin barrier. Let's hydrate. So we have very hydrating skincare products. And I think that personally that's more effective.
It is.
Yeah. And I think it just really goes into the whole cultural component of things.
And that makes sense, because isn't our body 70 or something percent water?
Yeah.
And our skin is the largest organ.
I also just feel quite uncomfortable with drying out my skin because I feel as if that will increase my risk of wrinkles and, a lot of the skin issues that you get from your skin being too dry.
Yeah. And something that really motivates me is when we get patients who are 70, 80 and their skin is great.
Yeah. 90-year-olds who have perfect skin.
They look 65.
Yeah.
I want to be like that.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of Asians are known for looking very young, and it's because from a young age, a lot of our parents, specifically our moms, are very keen on our skincare. I remember as a kid, she would lather me with lotion. She'd be like, come here, you need to put on this and this and this and this, and your sunscreen. And I hated it because I really didn't like the oily consistency.
Same.
Yeah.
I hated that texture on my skin and just...
Yeah, but then you grow up and you're more concerned with how you look. So you get over it.
You're like, ladies don't like sandpaper.
Yeah.
Let's fix it.
I really like that you are taking care of your skin, because I have noticed that a lot of men don't like to take care of their skin because it's too feminine or but come on. Do you want to look like Gordon Ramsay when you're 40?
No. He has a lot of holes in his face.
Well, I think it just has a lot of wrinkles. I don't know.
It's like a bulldog.
Sure. Yeah. I love Gordon Ramsay though. This is not Gordon Ramsay slander. I love that man.
Yeah, man, he's great.
Yeah,
I would totally let him yell at me, honestly.
Yeah. You're an
just hurt my
idiot
feelings.
sandwich. What are you? What are you?
I don't want to say it.
Say it.
Eat sandwich.
Starts crying. But yeah, that's something I really appreciate about my culture, is the emphasis on health. And as a kid, obviously, I didn't appreciate a lot of those things, but I, as an adult, very much appreciate my parents really emphasizing that with me. I remember my dad would tell me or ask me, he goes, "What's the most important thing?" And I would go, "I don't know.
My Barbies."
I was actually not a Barbie. I didn't play with Barbies.
Sorry, my science kit.
You do me like that. But at first I was just confused with that question, and he over time would just keep telling me, he's like, your most important thing is your health. So over time, when he would ask me that question, I'd be like, oh, my health. And there were definitely stages in my life where I did not keep that in mind, but we're working on it. And yeah, so I appreciate that.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
What about you? What are other things that you really appreciate in your culture?
It's not really necessarily anything about like mental health, but
right.
I like cowboys.
You like cowboys?
Yeah.
Oh, tell the people, because I feel like in America, everybody thinks that cowboys originate from the South, or it's a Southern thing, but it's not. It came from Mexico. No?
They're called Vaqueros.
Vaqueros.
Yeah. I think vaca is like cow. And it's just like translates to cowman.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The OG cowboys. Yeah. Respect the culture.
But yeah, and it's cool because I read a story about how Hawaii was gifted cattle. Oh. They were gifted cattle. Yeah. And before this, there was no cattle on the island, and they had no vaqueros or cowboys. So what Mexico did is they sent actual vaqueros from El Rancho, or like the ranch, and sent them over to Hawaii, and they showed them like the culture of vaqueros, and they showed them how to manage the herd, because it got so cool. Yeah, it got like so much that they couldn't handle it. So then they showed them how to ride cowboys, how to round up
how to ride cowboys.
Or I mean, how to ride horses.
Hold on. How to ride cowboys? I thought this was a PG-13 show, Nate.
Surfboard.
All right, let's round it up.
But yeah, so they sent him out there, and that's where the vaquero culture from Hawaii came from. So I thought that was really, really cool.
That's such a cool story. I did not know that.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok.
Not you learning about your own culture on TikTok.
Well, technically, it's not my culture. It's somebody else's culture that adapted ours.
That's true.
So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, before we go into what we don't love so much about our own cultures, we're going to take a quick bathroom break.
Yeah.
For Nate specifically again.
I demanded these breaks. I said I wouldn't do this podcast without these breaks. So.
And we are honoring that. So we will be right back.
Bye.
And we're back. How's your poop, Nate?
Non-existent. I couldn't do it.
No?
No, I don't know.
Nar?
Nar.
Nar. How would you rate it? 0 out of 10 then?
0.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we were talking... We were talking about what we liked about our cultures, right? But there are obviously things that we don't necessarily love so much. Yeah. It's not that we're not proud, right? But
there's always room for improvement.
Exactly. Love that. So what is something that you may not necessarily love or want to change about your culture?
So something that I wish would 100% change about my culture is the lack of mental awareness or awareness of mental health. So in a lot of Latino cultures, the older generations don't believe in mental health.
Right.
They
You
think
can't
that,
see it.
Yeah, they're like, what do you mean depression? Just stop being sad. You know?
I mean, I feel as if a lot of times, even if it's physical pain, they ignore it. So why would they even acknowledge any kind of mental distress? Yeah.
So that's something that I would really, really want to change, because a lot of like older Mexican men or Latino men, you can tell that they have issues and they just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
And it's not healthy. And they always end up just like taking it out on people that don't deserve it.
Right. Yeah. And they also don't teach their kids how to properly regulate their emotions, which could also be why you're having trouble with it.
But we're working on it.
We'll be the next generation to change that.
I do want to change that. And we're doing it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the issues with that, with people not being able to like regulate their emotions and stuff like that, it leads to also like a lot of alcoholism.
Right.
And that tends to happen a lot with Latinos.
Yeah, because you are not expressing it or dealing with it in a healthy manner, so you're finding unhealthy coping mechanisms to deal with it. So they have to release it somehow. So. Yeah.
But it's also understandable because in Mexico, it's a lot different from here.
Right.
A lot of crazy stuff happens over there. And whether you're just like a regular bystander, you're going to tend to see stuff.
Yeah. I agree.
But what about you, Sunny? What do you not like about your culture?
I don't particularly appreciate the heavy emphasis on your social economic status and what you look like when it comes to your children's potential husbands / wives.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I understand that this stemmed from back in the day where you wanted the best for your children. You wanted your daughter, for example, to marry a wealthy man so that she could have a better life. But I think there is a certain point where that's more damaging than beneficial. Of course, you want your daughter to be with a good man who can take care of her or be able to support the family or whatever. But we're in a time in our lives where a lot of women can do that for themselves. And not just that, but relationships are now about love more so than economic status or social status.
Yeah.
So I don't love that. In terms of the beauty thing, it's a common talking point. So growing up, whenever I went to see my grandparents or relatives, they would, before even saying hi to me or saying anything, they would comment on the way that I look. So I lost weight, gained weight, if I'm pretty or not, they like the hair color I dyed my hair too,
the way you dress,
the way I dress, how tan I am.
Wow.
Yeah, because at least in my culture, they like lighter skin tones, and being tan is not necessarily the beauty standard. I know here in America we will go out and tan in the sun just to be tan, right? But in my culture it's not like that. So growing up I swam, so I was a lot more tan. I had pigmented. I had a lot more muscle tone, and I think a lot of Asians like the really thin,
like slender
look. I was I had a lot more muscle tone because I was a swimmer. I was tan. I had freckles, and that was not cute.
You had freckles?
Yeah.
Where are they at now?
They're hiding, one, and they've also just really gotten a lot lighter since I don't see the sun as much anymore. Since I started doing night shift a couple years back, it's significantly lightened up. But if I start going to the sun, you'll start seeing them again.
Going to the sun.
Yeah, going into the sun. And that was something that was really damaging because I remember as a third grader, I had freckles, I was tan, and they would constantly just say that. They'd be like, oh, you gained weight. Oh, you look tan, you have freckles. I had a family member of mine when I was in third grade. ask me when I was going to get plastic surgery.
For what?
To laser off my freckles, to get my eyes done, to get my nose done.
You were so young.
And I think, especially because in our culture, we're taught very much to respect our elders and what they say goes. And so that was really hurtful. And I took that very deeply and personally. And I think it very much contributed to the mental health issues that I developed later on, because I remember distinctly that before I would go visit my family members, I would feel so much anxiety. I would start dieting. I would try to avoid the sun. I really would start lashing out and projecting my anxiety in many manners because I was so terrified of going there and having them say one comment about me.
Wow.
Yeah. I was starting from a young age. I was cutting down my food intake before I went to go see my relatives.
That must have been so damaging to your health.
And it was very much hard on me in terms of being so young and developing my sense of self and my self-esteem, and having to cater myself towards that was very rough and tough on me. And I know that they weren't necessarily trying to be rude or trying to hurt me intentionally, but I think that we need to understand that the words you say, especially to kids at such a young age, that's all they know. Why would they not take that to heart? They're not an adult. Like, as an adult now, I just brush it off. But as a kid, that's impossible to do.
It's like all they're telling you is the truth.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the truth, and it's the facts. And they would, just say things that were really hurtful and ultimately led to a lot of problems that I developed later on. I mean, who can you blame me?
No.
Yeah. So I think that's something I would really like to change. I definitely won't be doing that with my children, and hopefully I can't control what other people say, but I will make sure to consistently tell them that they are loved, and that even if people say those things, it's okay. It's like the quote that I sent you recently where it said, people only throw shade on things that are shining. Right? And that really resonated with me, because I know we all hear, oh, if you have haters, then you're doing something right. But I like this one a little more because there's haters, but there's also just slight shade. Right? And keep shining, keep being you. They're only doing that because they want to diminish your bright light.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Mic drop.
But I feel like you brought up a point that I feel like is similar in Mexican culture, is how lighter skin equals beauty.
Right. And social status or whatever. Yeah.
Especially if you look at like telenovelas or soap operas from Mexico, all of the actors, they're light skin. They're white.
Yeah.
And then all of the ugly characters, they're darker tone.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how Mexicans are the most racist to each other. Friendly fire, I'm telling you. Where do you think that stems from? Because I know for a lot of Asian cultures, it's because the people who were of darker skin tone were the ones working out in the rice paddy fields or whatever, right? They were farmers. And the people who were wealthy did not have to do that. So they were, of course, lighter because they were out of the sun. It 100% stemmed from like economic status.
Yeah. Okay. So we're very similar.
Wow, that's cool.
I think Asian and Mexican culture have a lot of overlap. So I think that's really cool. Maybe that's why we connect so well. I think also the skin tone thing is very interesting because it's the complete opposite. So of course we grew up with, Asian, or for me, Asian, and for you, Mexican culture because of our parents. But then we grew up here, so we also have American culture embedded in us. And that was very hard for me to juggle. I remember being confused because everybody was going out to the beach, to the pools, to tan. But then, when I get tan, I get freckles. And I also didn't want that because my family was telling me they were ugly. I remember I started wearing makeup because of the fact that they were making fun of my freckles. So that was the actual real reason why I even started wearing makeup in the first place, was to hide my freckles. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I found as a kid very hard to balance the two differing cultures. Do you feel like you struggled with that?
As a kid, I didn't even know there was a difference. I thought, like, growing up, my dad was like, "You're Mexican American." I was like, "No, what is that?"
I'm Mexican.
He's like, "You're Mexican. My mom's Mexican. That
Yeah.
means I'm Mexican, no?" So I didn't really.
Your mom's Mexican, dad's Mexican, so I'm Mexican.
Math.
Mexican square. Booyah.
So I never really struggled with like cultural shocks or anything like that. But something that that did happen to me a lot growing up is I always got confused for being Asian.
You're just confused little kid. I'm Mexican squared. Where's this Asian come from?
There was one time I was walking down the street, right?
Yeah.
And there's this older lady, like Korean lady, and I know she was Korean because she said "안녕하세요," and that's all I know.
Look at that was good.
Right?
Yeah.
I used to go to all Korean like junior high. Yeah, so I heard that all the time. So that's how I knew she was Korean. But that's it. She comes up to me and she starts talking to me Korean. And I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what you're saying." And she got mad at me. She got mad because I didn't know Korean.
She thought you were a Korean kid who didn't know Korean, but really you're a Mexican kid who didn't know Korean, and that's fair.
I was so confused. Didn't know what to do.
She's like, your parents didn't raise you properly. You're
uncultured.
Korean culture is not being taught to this young not to this young Korean boy. If you went to a Korean supermarket and you know those people who give out taste testing,
like the samples,
yeah, they'd probably speak Korean too. Thinking,
probably.
yeah.
Well, if I take my glasses off, I look more Asian.
What do people say you look like? Who do people say you look like?
It's a lot of things, but if it's an Asian person, it's Kim Jong-un.
People say you look like Kim Jong-un. Yeah. Someone post a photo of Kim Jong-un right next to him. Right here. No, you making the face?
Yeah, he goes.
Yeah, he does. You're the Mexican Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, or people say I look like the kid from Up.
Russell. Oh, I know that line very well. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
I kind of forgot. Give me a second. Good afternoon. My name is Russell, and I am a wilderness explorer from Tribe 54, Sweat Lodge 12. Are you in need of any assistance today, sir?
No.
Anyways, I personally found it very hard to maintain that balance. I remember as a kid, I was very embarrassed when my mom would speak Mandarin in public, which looking back now, I feel so ashamed about it. Of course, I was a kid, but I feel really ashamed that there was a few times where I even got frustrated with her and I would tell my mom not to do that. And I mean, that's my mom's own culture. So like, I can't imagine how she felt that her own kid was telling her that and insinuating that there's something wrong with her own culture. And I'm very much ashamed of that. But at the same time, I have a lot of compassion for myself because I was young. And of course, I've learned from that. I think growing up, I don't know about you, but bringing certain lunches and snacks to school was embarrassing because people would make fun of it. And that was not helpful in terms of me coming to terms with my Asian American identity. And I really very much so wanted to be assimilated fully in American culture. It wasn't until I got older and I went to college in Pennsylvania and it was very predominantly white. At first, it made my internalized racism a lot worse and I really hated it. But it actually eventually got better, and I think living in Pennsylvania for that, because I was like one of the few Asian kids in class. I would also sit in front a lot of times. And I have a unique nerd, yes. And I have a unique name. And our class sizes were extremely large, but my professors would remember me. And I didn't really have to work too hard. And I really like to have them remember me because there's 400 kids. How do they remember everybody? And, you know, I was very proud. I started becoming very proud of my culture for being unique, for being different, and having a new perspective. In classes, I always was able to offer a new perspective that many other of the students were not able to bring. And that's where I really found my confidence in it. And I came home from college where there's a lot more Asians here, and I really felt happy and proud. I started really wanting to learn more about my culture. I was really upset that when I went off to college, I stopped speaking Mandarin less and that like my Mandarin skills declined. So I even started watching a few Chinese dramas or Taiwanese dramas to help me, you know, speak better. And I would ask my mom constantly how to say something, and been practicing a lot more, at least trying to. So I think over time I've become very much more comfortable accepting. Yeah. I think also too, I now no longer care about what other non-Asians or non-Taiwanese people or Chinese people have to say. But sometimes when it comes from your own people, it hurts. You know, sometimes I get judgment from my own people. And that hurts because I'm like, I want you. What are you saying? You know? And I think there's this whole discourse in Asian culture where people will say things like, oh, well, you're too whitewashed, or you're too fobby, quote unquote. Or
what is fobby?
It stands for fresh off the boat, and it's supposed to be very condescending.
Oh, kind of like fresh out the border?
Yeah. Fob, literally. We have our own versions of that, unfortunately. But that was something that people would say, or they would attack you if you weren't dating an Asian. You know, there's this heavy emphasis on that, especially being an Asian girl. I think Asian boys get a lot more applause for dating outside of their culture, but Asian girls are not. There's this whole narrative that, oh, Asian girls are always with like white boys and they're getting colonized, and it's because of their internalized racism. And it's this whole narrative that just goes down a really deep hole, and I think it's super damaging. Don't love that very much.
Wow.
Yeah, right? But I don't know. I don't know if happens in other cultures, so like African American culture or Mexican American culture or whatever else, right? I don't know if there's this sense of, oh, you shouldn't date outside of your culture. So I don't know. Do your parents want you to be with a Mexican girl?
No.
They don't?
Not necessarily.
Really? Yeah.
No. As long as she has the same like Bible principles as me, and like the same like teachings and stuff like that. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Wait, that's really nice. I don't know how common that is, honestly, because I think my parents aren't too worried about it, but I know my grandparents are. My grandfather has had 3 cancers, and he's still doing okay. But there was a point in time where he really thought it was going to be his final moments. And I went to go visit him to see him. And he told me that he really wanted me to be with a nice Taiwanese boy.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
that's so how old are you?
Well, no, this was in college.
Oh, okay. You're
but
a little older.
yeah. But to me, I was like, this is your dying wish. This is a lot. Like, you know, but it's hard for me because it's not like I grew up in Taiwan. I grew up here. So it's just
like different.
It's different. And I do understand, though, from my grandfather's perspective, because he's very, very proud of our family tree. He has this book that has all of our family members dated back to the dynasties, handwritten in Chinese calligraphy that dates all the way back, and he just keeps adding pages to it.
It's just gonna stop with you.
Listen, I mean, here's the thing.
You're the one to ruin it all, huh?
Yeah, here's the thing, though. This is pointing out another thing in Asian culture, is there is a heavy emphasis on males. Is that true for you guys?
Well, I don't have necessarily a whole dragon scroll to like keep up.
You know, the Kung Fu Panda? What was it? What's it called?
The dragon scroll?
Oh, yeah, it's the dragon scroll. I just pulled the magic tree house. Is
How the turntables,
How
huh?
the turntables.
But I am the last one in my family that can carry the last name.
Okay. Yeah. So that's my brother too. Do they love you more because of that?
I already told my mom I ain't having kids, so I think she's a little worried.
You're gonna end the family bloodline because you won't have kids. For me, at least in my family specifically, there's a heavy emphasis on males, and I mean this dates back to the bloodline, carrying the family name, and I know this varies per family, but in my family specifically, they take it very seriously, and my brother is the only one to carry that name. And
does he get a lot of pressure?
He gets a lot of pressure, but they never tell him to his face. They also just favor him beyond anyone else. And I think growing up, that really hurt me. Because as a kid, I didn't understand. All I know was grandma, grandpa, or aunt and uncle like my brother more than me. And it was really sad because, like, to me, I felt really sad because I was very obedient. I was respectful. I did all my homework. You know, like as a kid, I knew I did what I was told, and they still didn't love me as much in my eyes. And that was hard. That was very hard for me.
Yeah, I have a similar story with my grandmother. For whatever reason, she always favored like my other cousin.
Right.
And growing up, like I was also like the obedient one, the calm one. He was a troublemaker.
Yeah.
He would bite me.
My brother bit me. Dude, I would go to school and they would go, "Oh, do you have a dog?" And I'm like, "No, but I have a little brother."
Just bite marks everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was always like the favorite one. And like it hurts.
Yeah,
like,
it hurts.
Sometimes I would get in trouble for no reason of my doing. And, like, so there's a story where my cousin was bouncing a little rubber ball. He was bouncing it. And I go up to him, I'm like, "Hey." And I distract him. He looks up and the ball hits him in the lip right here.
Right.
And he was a little baby.
Started whining.
Started crying. Not whining. I was like, "Ah!" And my
Nathan hit me.
Yeah, my grandma comes out and my grandma's like, "¿Qué pasó? What happened? And my cousin was like, "Nathan hit me with a ball." And I was like, "What? What did I do?"
Yeah.
And I got scolded for that. And then later on, my mom's like, "Well, what actually happened? Did you ask?" And my grandma's like, "Well, what happened?" He's like, "Well, I was bouncing the ball and he distracted me and I hit myself."
Do you think that led to feelings of being very scared to be accused of something you didn't do? Because I get super defensive now when people accuse me. I think it's this common perception that if you're innocent, you should be calm because you know you're innocent. But I'm the opposite.
Yeah, 100%.
I get so defensive. I'm like, I didn't do it. But then I feel like that makes me look more guilty.
Yeah.
But it's because this internal trigger. And because I have a very similar story to yours where I was blamed for everything, even though it wasn't me. And so I have a very sensitive trigger to that. And I get very defensive. And all I want to do is prove I didn't do it.
And it's like you said earlier, it's like I forgot what I was going to say. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just the internal trigger of that. But I think a lot of times our culture is very great and there are a lot of things to be proud of, but that, like you said, doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement. And we can also at the same time be proud, but also acknowledge the things that we want to change when we raise our kids and ultimately also pass down our culture down to them. So yeah.
Break that generational curse.
Exactly. Well, now that we're nearing the end of our podcast, let's do our mental health check-in.
All right.
Where were you at this past week?
I think last week I said I was at a 7. This week I'm at 8.
Oh, me too.
Nice.
I think 8 is like our gold standard.
Yeah. I hope to be at a 10 one day, but
Yeah.
it's high.
That's good. What did you do last week?
What did I do last week? I think I was working on not saying no.
You mean
Or
yes,
saying no
saying
more
no,
often.
yeah.
Obviously it didn't work. No, but
He goes, I learned not to say no.
just make it worse. But it's been helping a lot. I've been able to like manage more of what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you said no to me earlier.
I did.
It's been working.
You didn't like it, but I didn't care.
No, I appreciated it.
But something that I will be doing like in the future, or something that I have been doing for a while, is gardening.
Oh, yeah, you're a good gardener. Aren't
Yeah.
you?
When I was in high school, I was in agriculture. I was a farmer. I was in horticulture.
Yeah.
So like I learned how to take care of plants, soil science, like different chemicals and stuff like that. And I was reading that touching the actual dirt releases like good feel good chemicals, and it releases stress, and it actually grounds your body to the earth.
To the ground, literally, because you're touching the earth.
Yeah, but like, you know how the earth is like one big magnet? It actually like grounds you to the...
So I guess there is some truth behind go outside and touch some grass.
Eat dirt.
Everybody.
Well, what about you, Sunny? What did you do last week?
Well, I wanted to implement the walking and the sunlight. But this week, I want to focus on my sleep, because it's been really subpar recently. My sleep schedule is awful, and I'm not loving that.
How are you doing with the transition from nights to day?
It's not great. You know, it's been a while since I even left night shift, but I think there has been lasting effects on it for sure. And yeah, so one thing that I wanted to look into, other than, of course, waking up earlier and setting a time before bed where I stop everything that I have to do, no matter how much work I still have left, to wind down and go to bed. Besides those things, I was reading that your sugar intake contributes to your sleep quality.
Ooh.
And so if I can't get as much sleep as I want to, I at least want good sleep quality, right? And so they did a study where they looked at university students, and they found that increased sugar intake decreases your sleep quality. And I was concerned with that, because I've been increasing my sugar intake a lot recently. I've been eating a lot of chocolate.
Too many
Boba drinks, milk tea, cookies, ice cream. You know, I've just been, there's a level where, of course, treat yourself, but I've been kind of taking it to an extreme. So I really want to tone that down a little bit, right? So that's something I'm going to focus on this week.
Well, there is a saying in Spanish where it says, where they say, see, if you eat sugar, you'll get nightmares.
Oh, okay.
So I guess there is some truth.
Yeah.
I don't know, overactive brain.
Well, I'll let you know next week.
All right, a whole bar of chocolate.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Well, and that's the end of our podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to Egg
and Bean Podcast.
Bye. Love you guys.
Bye.